Hello, good morning. Welcome to day 8 of 108 days of initiation. Lighting the candle, grabbing my cacao that I'm having, and I'm also having rose buds tea. So today we are jumping into the topic of people pleasing and something that I practice called identity fluidity. So first, I had a terrible day yesterday, and so much was happening. But, or if you prefer to say, and it's also been moving so much energy. So much energy has shifted from yesterday till today. So when this heavy lifting comes, when it feels like we're literally, that's why I love doing the deadlifts, because it feels like I'm literally lifting and moving heavy energy. So that's part of, I do that every day. I do the deadlifts every morning, every day. So I just adapt my exercises to how I feel. So something big has shifted in me, and it's regarding the people pleasing. So trying to, okay, so maybe you feel the vibe is different. I feel like I have so much clarity about this container, and I really allowed this container to be a living adventure. So I didn't know how it was going to unfold. So that's why I asked for you to co-create with me, and you really are. So I really thank you for that. Without you guys, it wouldn't be anything. Well, it would be. It would be a completely different trip for me, because I would have no feedback. So I wouldn't be challenged in the same way. Then I would just speak out to the ether, and that would be phenomenal too. So people pleasing is a very, very interesting topic, because it literally hinders us from being who we are, and it's or who we are supposed to be, or who we want to be, and it keeps us from being our true selves. And it's a result of the things that we've been through in life. So it's a way for the body to find a solution where the fight or flight responses in the nervous system is not available. So usually people pleasing starts at a very young age, and it is, so the child wants to either run away, the flight, to leave the situation, or fight your way out of it. But as a child, you have none of these options. So the only way that the child have is to adapt to the situation, to stay safe. So that response can happen in the fight or flight state in the nervous system. So it can be a red zone activity, and it can also be a blue zone activity. So there's people pleasing can happen in both the zones. So, but basically it is, I have no other options than to adapt. The problem with that is that it continues to follow you as a pattern, as a personality. It can, because it's such a deep imprint, and different people, different cultures, different countries, different people, different families, different areas, different circumstances, they have different levels of this already in the culture. So in Sweden, where I come from, we're such deep people pleasers that we even developed what we call the Stockholm syndrome, where you go in so deep that you even become compassionate with the abuser. So, and when we look at those things, there's so many layers of that, because there's so much to learn, and there's also a lot of compassion in it. So there's so many different layers to this. But the point with the people pleasing that I want to touch on today is that we are all, usually most people are doing it to some extent. And it's also, such a deep imprint in us that we want to fit in, because we are pack animals. And if we are removed from the herd, I mean, we all watched the animal movies, animal documentaries growing up, and like the animal, the lion is hunting on the savannah and it's finding the bunch of zebras, and we have a child and an old one, or someone who is not fit and is a little bit outside of the flock. That's the one we go for. So we all know, we have that inbuilt in our system, that being removed from the pack is not safe. So we override ourselves in order to fit in, to feel safe. So we do that on a physical level, emotional level, spiritual level, mental level, energetic level. So most people are doing this in some shape or form, and it's not bad. It's the way that the body works, and it's a phenomena that exists in order to. So the body has all of these mechanisms for us to survive negative experiences. So there's a lot of spiritual people talking about like the first half of life. That's when you make all the mistakes. Then when you're born into a family that is causing you a lot of experiences, and then that kind of follows you through life, and then you have some sort of realization that, okay, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. Same as I did, as I shared yesterday, that after a couple of years of the good life that is not so good, I realized, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I started to change my life, and then I ended up here. So it's like at some point in life we wake up like, okay, I don't need to do this. I can change. I can create my own reality. And then you become super grateful for the body for having all of these super cool mechanisms that has actually kept you safe all this time, to not really damage anything. The problem is if we stay in those states too long, like the whole life, and then the body starts to break down. So at some point we wake up to this realization that, oh, the way that I navigate through life, through my behaviors, because if I continue to people please, then I'm overriding systems in my body, and I am continually to abandon the body and abandon the self, which causes a disconnect and a disassociation. It depends on where you are and what levels you're working on, but from a physical, emotional, spiritual, energetical, and mental level. And when we're disconnected from the body, then that part starts to not do so well. And then depending on what happens, it just escalates. And then food and sleep and stress and this and that and that and that starts to, it becomes a downwards facing spiral. So the people pleasing is so interesting, because it's also the opposite of people pleasing, is also the key to having a beautiful and wonderful life. So anyone who's into human design knows that we all have different energetic setups, and there's different types of people. But what we all have in common is that we have a response in the body that is positive. And when we follow this positivity in the body, and that is also connected to, if you look at any kind of manifestation process, or when you try to, look at athletes, look at business people, look at everyone who has accomplished something and become successful. It's like they believe in something, they have something positive that they believe that they can achieve. So it's like we have to create these positive feelings and sensations in the body in order for us to move faster to the future and to attract the future that we know is coming for us. So that's like foundational manifestation process is you live the way that you want to live before it happens, and that's like calling it in. And but it all starts with having a positive sensation, because that's all we want. I want to be happy, I want to be safe, I want to be free, I want my loved ones to have a good life. It's like all we want is positive and good things, and the more we have good and positive things in our lives, the more we will attract that. So the manifestation process truly works. It's a result of the nervous system state, the level of unprocessed events, situations, and traumas, small traumas, big traumas, how this has influenced our belief system. So what we believe is to be real and safe and true for the world, and how it operates, what is true for the world, and what is true about me, who do I believe I am, what am I capable of doing, and all of these things that I have been taught, usually by someone else, that I believe that I am. And yeah, the overall belief system. So what the organism believe in itself that it is, that is what is going to happen to you. So when we are overriding our sacral yes or sacral no, or when we are overriding the full body yes and full body no, that is like we're telling the universe that we have no clue what we're doing, because I'm saying yes when I mean no, and I mean no when I say yes. And there's like this flapping doors that is just constantly opening and closing. So there's no trust and no stability in the organism itself, so it can hold the reality that we want to create. So we are creating literally what we believe is to be true about ourselves and the world, and the imprints that we have from birth or even before birth, because we are inheriting the imprints and the belief systems and the from our ancestors, and the culture that we grow up in the school that we go to, the people that we spend time with. So thought I was this and this and that for I don't know how many years, because someone told me when I was a child. So I believed that. So there's very deep in what the culture is from your parents, from the country that you live in. So I'm from Sweden, and we stand in line, we wait for our turn, we don't speak up, we don't, we're so deeply imprinted in those things. And that's why this process and this adventure for me is so huge, because it breaks me free from many of those imprints. So the people pleasing is when we are trying to follow what we believe that the world is expecting from us. And then we believe if we are good people and do as we're told, then everything is going to be fine. But that's not how the world works. It's happiness and success and whatever you're looking for is going to come from following what the body truly wants. Because so the soul knows what it wants, and it's communicating to you through the physical body. So the deeper the connection is with the physical body, and the more you take care of that physical body and attune yourself to whatever that body needs, then you will start to live in connection with life. And then the body is going to attract. So the body is like it attracts what it is. So if the body is traumatized, it's feeling low confidence, it's negative thinking, then it's going to attract more of that. And our ability as a human, with the level of consciousness that we have been given, we have the ability to look at ourselves in third person. So we have parts of ourselves in our consciousness that can look at the human parts saying, oh, okay, I think you need this and this and that. And then we can gradually shift. And that's the multidimensional detox. We start to clean out the system, and that's what like raising the frequency literally means, because the cells are operating in vibration, in connection of how much life force does it have in the body. So when you have a high level of life force, then you have a high frequency, and then you attract things that operate on the same frequency. So when we talk about changing ourselves and upgrading ourselves, then following the communication from the body is number one. And that's why the people pleasing is so incredibly important, and also very easy to start with, because it's about, you get instant feedback from reality all the time. And that is what personal power is all about, being able to stay in your truth no matter what the outside world is throwing at you. I'm staying strong. I'm like the captain of my own ship. Even if it's dark, I no clue where I'm going. I'm trusting. And that's where faith comes in. And that's where God comes in. And that's where the connection comes from the inside. Like, I'm going to go here, even if it's dark. The storm is trying to destroy my ship. I have people in the back that I need to care for, that are dependent on me. And I just got to stand my ground and believe in myself and trust my instincts and trust the knowledge that I have and trust the teachings that I have. And then you can by experience and by learning and by, taking care of that ship. Every time you go into harbor, you say, okay, I'm going to upgrade this. I'm going to pack this and this resources. I'm going to change my staff a little bit, so I'm better equipped to sail the ocean of life. And we all have that ability. And so not adapting and forming to what other people want is very, very important, because they are operating from their level of understanding, and every single person on this planet is operating from their level of experience so far. And we are taking in so much opinions from people who have no clue of what they're doing. Most people are in no position to give you advice on things that they know nothing about. Yet we take that in as truth. And I love this conversation, because this conversation was sparked because I asked about the time and how long my sessions should be. And I knew when I asked, because I can feel when I'm doing something that is going to change something. So I even remember I was looking like this, and then I looked to the camera and I was questioning my decision if I should ask the question. So now I'm starting burping, and so things happening in my body. So I knew that this question is going to be significant. And it's not about the answers. So I am so grateful for the people who take the time and reply what they would appreciate. And then I can take that truth and mirror it back to myself and look, okay, what is, because I remember I started this as an adventure that I didn't know where it was going. But now it's starting to become more and more clear, and I am being guided by the universe, and you guys are included in that. You're part of the universe. So when I got the feedback that and you realize I've been talking about this, it's been a big thing for me. It pops up, so you notice that, okay, I'm really I want to be considerate of the people who are listening, who are watching, because I want it to be beneficial, and I want it to be something that helps people. And then that brings the question back to me, okay, what is true for me in this situation? Because if I'm people pleasing, then this is going to be a fiasco. So I have to stay true to myself. Otherwise, this is not going to end well. And that is same for everything and every decision for every person in their life. So I had to think long and hard and feel into what is this. And I'm realizing that this series is for the women who are really looking to change on a deep level, either voluntarily or involuntarily. Either like the way that I came onto this journey was that I felt for so many years that this can't be it. The life that I'm living. So I was in the world that was very negative. I mean, I learned so much. Most of my knowledge actually comes from those days, because I know how people work. It's like the shadow. I've been close to the shadow. I know how the shadow works. And then I cleaned myself up. That's like, you see, that's like that was bad. I did bad because society says that kind of life is bad. For me, it's like, okay, I went to school. That was my real school. That was life school. And then I cleaned myself up and went back to school like you're supposed to. And then I got a really good job. I worked myself up and I had a phenomenal position. It was very successful, and I had the best relationship, and I had a phenomenal apartment. And, it was like, we're set, this is like society says you're set now. And then I realized, like, I feel like crap. I feel like crap. And like, I felt like this can't be it. This can't be the meaning of life. This is just like, wow. And I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I was sick. I thought I was having all of these very interesting experiences. So this is for the woman who knows that there's something else out there and is looking for someone who did the same journey. So this series is me leaving breadcrumbs for women who is looking to find their true selves, to find the truth of their lives, to find either their way out of something or their way into something. So I've been in all of these levels of the experience, and the core of this is that I needed this. If I would have had this, my life would have changed so much faster. I wasn't supposed to change fast because I was supposed to go through all of these things so that I can create something that will leave the breadcrumbs for other women to change their lives in the same way. So either because I had to go to the depth of my being, because it was so dark, I was, the only thing that I could do was to breathe and to hold on to all the practices that I've done. And since our core speciality over the years has been nervous system regulation, grounding, and the connection with the body. That is the key and core of mine and my husband's teachings. That is what kept me sane, alive, and through. And every day I had to feed myself with something that I could hold on to. I'm getting a bit emotional. So whatever I can do, and this is where the length of so interesting. This is how important that question was, because when I woke up in the morning, that was my worst, because I didn't sleep. I was so stressed. I had so much fear in my body, and I didn't know how to get through the day. So these type of teachings, because what I do with this whole series is a multi-dimensional transmission, because every single word that I share is a transmission, because I feel the state that I'm in when I'm sharing. I'm so raw, I'm so vulnerable, it's so true. I'm not people pleasing to anything or anyone. And the most difficult thing that I could do for myself was to put myself alone with a camera and speak straight out to the internet and just, allow whatever to be was to be, because that was the process that I had to go through in order to get here. So there's so many, that's why the multidimensional is the core of this. And I realized that this series is going to be a transmission and the breadcrumbs that I leave for women to navigate their way out of something or into something. So this will be extremely helpful for so many different types of situations and different types of women, because the principles are the same. We're a soul in a human body in a world that is absolute chaos. And there are ways to navigate yourself out of that and into a beautiful experience. Okay, spine wants to move. So that's why these 108 days are for those women who need it. So the intention is that the people who are finding this, who finds it helpful, they will find someone else and they will say, follow this series and it will help you. It will help you, guide you through your life, the process that you're in. And I am here to devote myself to help other women to find their way back to themselves, to remember who they are and to realize that they have all this strength, all this power, all these abilities, and that we all have this built in. Our bodies are sensational. They are absolutely extraordinary. And because I had such a strong body connection, I could navigate my way out of the situation that I was. It is thanks to my body that I did that. So that is why this series, because every morning when I wake up, that's when it's the most difficult time, and has been for most people that I know. It can also come in the evening. So it's either usually, morning, midday, or evening is usually the most difficult times for different people. But for me, I found the mornings was to be difficult, and I still use the mornings to put myself in a state where I connect with who I truly am. So this is where the identity fluidity comes in. So having these conversations the first thing in the morning would have helped me tremendously, because it would give me hope, it would give me inspiration, it would give my body the knowledge and the trust and the faith that there is a way out of this situation. There is a way that I can, and it doesn't have to be as dramatic as it was for me. It's just that the principle is the same. Doesn't matter how deep in the well you are. The principles of life are the same. So this is for any woman who's going through any kind of death or rebirth process. It can be the end of a marriage, can be the end of a job, it could be, you know, something that is ending and something that is beginning. So in the morning, and I still do this, the first thing I do in the morning is that I spend time with myself to feel into how am I doing, how am I feeling, and how close am I to the truth that I know is to be true. And then there's physical sensations, there's emotional sensations, there's energetic sensations, there's mental, chatter and this and that, and then there's the energetical, that's like the belief systems, like where am I on all these levels. And then I know that my identity is fluid. I'm a multidimensional being, and my identity is fluid, and it's based on my previous experiences. And I can change those. So the first thing I do in the morning is that I listen to someone that I trust and that has done the work that I want to do. And I listen to their transmissions. And I allow them to change my state. And that is the choice that we have as human beings, that we can choose our thoughts, and we can regulate our own nervous system, we can regulate our whole being, and that is a skill that anyone can learn. And from there you start to shift your whole being. And that, depending on the amount of experiences that we've been through, is different for every person. So it's we all have a pile of stuff. I usually say another word, toilet related. We all have a pile of stuff that we need to dig ourselves through, or clean up, or like shift. In Simba's world, we call it alchemize. So we do that in different ways. And there's tons of different practices that you can do. And those we gather in what we call the wellspring, because it activates the wellspring of the life force. So it's all those practices, is the physical practices. However, with the identity fluidity, it's like, where do I even get my information? What do I believe to be true about myself, about this day, about the circumstances that I'm in? And that is like the crown is like, if the crown is not open, then you don't have access to what is actually true about the world, about you, about anything. Then how on earth are you going to operate from a good system? If that is how, it's like the key programming is if that's the like software you're using. And then, because we all know that, oh, the morning practice is the most important day, and it is. And that is why I've had all of these downloads and the transmissions. And I was like, do I take care of myself first, or do I share the teachings first? And that I mentioned this in a previous episode, that is a thing that I'm navigating through. And the fire transmission came through. So we have our outdoor rooftop gym is just above here. So I was up there doing my morning practice, and then I had to come down and share that transmission. And that was where I felt like I was a couple of days ago. And then today, this transmission was so strong this morning, but it was a slightly different transmission. But I decided that I'm going to trust myself and ground myself through the physical practice and the work that I'm doing in the morning, and then go do the transmission. And I knew that it's going to look different because I will be different. So I made notes about what is I have them here. And when I was looking at them before I pressed play, I was like, I can't really relate to that, but okay, you know? So it's like, but that transmission would have been perfect for someone. And that's why I also know that the length, that is a gift. The fact that I have the time, the ability, that my body wants to do this at this time is a gift to myself and to anyone who needs support to walk through what I call the fire of truth. Because life is truth. We are standing in the truth of the experience. And if that is wildly uncomfortable, we have to move ourselves out of that, because there's a reason why we are there, and there's something to learn, and there's something to do. And that is basically what I do. It's like and when I dive deeper into the human design, my main gate is the going from confusion to clarity. That is like my main gift. And the second gate was initiation by shock. So it was written in the stars that I was going to go through that. So now I help other people through that. So this whole series is going to be my breadcrumb and my transmission that people can use for free. We'll see how long I keep it for free. But that is, so now when I say that it's the breadcrumb, so maybe I will keep it free forever, but I don't know, because I'm not at the end yet. I have to allow this to develop. But what I know is the more time that I could have with someone that I trusted and that helped me, the more time that person would have, the better I would feel. It would give me more. So every morning I listen to something that will put me in the right state. So I follow people, and it doesn't really matter what they say. As soon as they speak, I end up in the right place in myself. And that is also the feedback that I've received over the years from the people that I work with. It's like, oh, I just need to hear your voice, and then I remember who I am. Or I can call you in and you are with me, and then my life shifts. So the fact that I am able and willing to share of myself like this is a gift. So that is why I cannot put the restriction on this. So because I asked the question, I now know why I'm doing this. And I know that there cannot be a cap. And for the people who only have 15 and 20 minutes, then they just listen for 15 and 20 minutes and they pick up whenever they have another 15 or 20 minutes. But the more I give them, the more they have. And then maybe in the future, my teachings will be, short and precise, maybe, but that's not the point to be effective, because it's the living transmission of who I am that is the importance. If I people please to fit in, it's not going to serve anyone. It's not going to serve me or not you. So that's why I cannot put a container around myself especially when I'm in the birth of something new. And this is also a freedom that I want to give you, to be and take the space, take the time to be who you are supposed to be. And that is the goal. And when we live in that freedom of expression, so the Phoenix Rising has I use the chakra systems, but I also change them a little bit. It has the absolute core of the chakras, and then I add a little bit of energetic layers on them. So I call them a little bit different. So I call them truth. The crown is I call it truth, because that's how I work with the crown. And then the third eye, I call knowing. Then the throat is expression, because I work with more expressions than, it's like the energetical layer of expression. And then the heart is abundance. And then we have power, creation, and then sovereignty. So they are all the same. I just have slightly different layers because I use the center as an inspiration and I make more of it, so to say. And I will take you through all of those during this process. And when we are aligning all of these and we are descending into the body, the feminine body, and we start to activate and access all the parts, then we truly become the multidimensional beings. But it's impossible to do that if the first thing we do when we wake up in the morning is trying to adapt to something that we don't fit. So it's like having this, the round ball and try to put it into a square, hole. It just doesn't work. And the main key to manifestation is to follow what excites you. So I'm a sacral generator. So I need to follow my sacral hit. Whatever lights me up, that's where I should go. And having 15, 20-minute containers, that just shut me down. And I noticed ever since I noticed that I was a bit stressed, I noticed that I was this and that, but that's fine because we are, and women, I've always thought that I needed to look the same way all the time, talk the same way all the time, feel the same way all the time, express myself the same way all the time. Otherwise, people would say that I'm not consistent or that I am not real or whatever. But I am different people every day because of my circumstances, because of what I'm moving through. So yesterday was a very, very heavy day. But I stayed in my center and I kept my cool and I was just working with the energy. I was moving with I did yesterday, and I shared that from the place that I was, and I did that to the best of my ability, and that moved me through the day. So the end of the day yesterday was phenomenal because we move heavy energy. When we are going through change, that is literally our job, to move through change. And to be able to do that, we have to have the fluidity of the identity of who we believe that we are. And when we are going through a process of change, either if it's involuntary, that you find yourself in a situation where, holy shit, I don't want to be here, I have to, get myself out. Or if I'm just realizing that I really want to change this about myself. I want this. I know that I'm made for this. I know I'm born for this. I know I'm capable of this. It doesn't have to be that life is absolutely terrible. The process is the same. It's just your starting point is different. But what we believe to be true is deeply connected to our identity. And you can say ego too. And that is where we have to be fluid, to adapt. How can I adapt myself to shift my situation, to shift my circumstance? And the way to adapt is to go inwards and release layers and layers and layers and layers of what we believe to be true that is not serving us. And that is the multidimensional detox. Feels so good to have this conversation. And look, I mean, honestly, what is it, day 8? And I'm sitting here talking like I've done nothing else. I feel so comfortable with this now. I can't believe it took me I'm 48 years old. And I've never been able to do this. And I changed it in 8 days. And then I realized, okay, I was not able to contain the transmissions throughout the day because I'm so affected by other people's energies and other people's circumstances that I had to do it in the morning. I have to do it in the morning. Otherwise, it's gone. It's lost. No, that's not true. Because the muscle that I'm exercising is going to become stronger, but I have to allow myself to do that. And the only way for me to allow myself to do that in the situation that I am in my life is to open up 100% to you guys and be completely transparent. And from there, and I've had all kinds of, I can't share everything I know. No one's going to come and work with me if I share everything I know, because they are going to do it by themselves. Perfect. But I also know that that's not true. Because the more I share, because abundance, and that's why I didn't want to call it the heart chakra. For me, it's abundance. The abundance is that there is unlimited. So the left hand is the receiving and the right hand is the giving. The more I give, the more I will receive. And if I share all my teachings is going to end. No, they are infinite. So I just have to trust that the more I share, the more will come. That is a way for me to grow as a person, to just give unconditionally and just see what happens. And I know that there will always be people who want closer proximity with me because I can help them, because I just look at the situation. I know exactly what's up, and I walk through the fire. The fire is so different if you have someone who's walking there with you and like, no, the floor is not hot. Yes, it's a bit uncomfortable, but that's fine. Being alone in the fire, that's, the right people are going to find me and work with me because they want to. And I can't control that. I just give, and the universe is going to give me something back. I don't know what it is, but that's how it operates. And then I need to trust that. But I can say that I trust it, or I can act like I trust it. But if I people please, there's none of that. That's like closing the door in the face, before we even begun. So we can't do that. Okay, but now it's like 50 minutes, and now even I am like, but anyway, this is the most important topic for someone, and people need to hear this. So I'm all good. However, I will start incorporating a little bit more practices, but there was a couple of transmissions that had to come through. When we move into, I want to do a session on duality, because that sets the stage for when we move through the different pillars of Phoenix Rising and descending into the body. So I might do those in a row, or I do one and then we do some other things and then another one. We will see. But that's where we're heading, because we are starting to descend into the body. And that is when we start to look at, because there's so much in this experience that is the identity, that what we believe about the world and what we believe about ourselves. And that is a huge imprint. And so it takes time to resolve that, to believe. It's a software system upgrade. When you restart your computer or you're installing a new operative, a new OS, and it just takes, it's like 45 days left. It's like, it takes time. So it's like an ongoing process. Okay, now I'm just rambling because I don't want to hang up. Thank you so much. Give me feedback, give me opinions, give me reflections. And on Sunday, we have it's even 1111 portal. So I had to change it in the description. So it's 1111, 1111, year 1, month 1, day 11. So on Sunday, I will be going live. I don't know when, but I will set a time. So if someone really wants to be live with me and have a little bit of chat conversations with me, let me know when you're available, and I try to adapt on Sunday, the 11th. And I will also be available inside the Telegram group with voice notes, so we can have conversations about anything you want that you feel is related to whatever we're doing. Because and especially if you have questions on how things work, or if you have things that you want me to reflect on your personal experience about anything in life, then I will guide you. Now mom is messaging there's lunch in 10 minutes. Luxury. So I will be available, and the more things you can ask, other people will benefit from. So we're doing this as a collective, and it's a way of navigating, like remembering who we are as people. And it takes a bit of time. And when we do it together and someone's done it before, it's way easier. So anyway, sending you lots of love and wish you a beautiful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.